Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw. Oh, this is so fun because I love this. Okay, so the title is Train from Lisbon to Porto, Portugal. So the photograph is of a kind of like a ripped piece of paper on what looks like a seat tray, maybe, because like it looks almost like there's legs underneath. You
Yes.
can just sort of see skin, but there's like so there's the seat tray is kind of pulled down, and on top of it is this piece of paper, and on it says "Your friends from Hong Kong and Taiwan." This card has been to Canada. I'm sorry if I can't read this very well.
That's Nice.
And Portugal.
Uh-huh.
What?
That's Nice in France.
Uh,
South.
okay, Nice. Okay. And in it is the kind of sitting on top of the paper. I don't know if it's glued or taped or whatever. Is these black and white photos of one is a military person and one is of not military, but it's black and white. Those aren't photos of you.
Well,
So what is this?
not.
What is
Those
this?
are not photos of me. I hope I look young.
You weren't a World War II lieutenant? Sure, no problem.
Hey, I'm still in my early 30s. Don't.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So what am I looking at? Like, why this and what is it? Like, what? Please explain.
So, as I say, I really look for the moments that make me go wow or give me that butterfly
Okay.
feelings, right? So, this experience really did give me that feelings because this is actually on the train from Lisbon to Porto. I was on a trip with a girlfriend of mine in Portugal, and there's this old man sitting next to us. He was quietly eating his lunchbox, and we were just chatting. And then all of a sudden, he just reached out to us and opening his lunchbox, and there's like a piece of cheese. There's a there's a few pieces of fruit, and he just offered that to us, and we were
Okay.
like, "Oh, thank you." We were trying to be nice and polite. So then we said, "Oh, thank you so much." We took a piece of fruit, even though we didn't really need it.
Sure,
Um,
sure,
but
sure.
then we were trying to, say thank you to him and just realized he didn't speak a lick of English. So, so we just thought, oh, how nice. He just wanted to offer what little food that he has with us on the
Sure. Yeah.
train. And so, I, since I travel a lot and I love to, draw and stuff, I always keep a sketchbook with me.
Okay.
So I was pulling out my sketchbook. I was doing some drawing, and I never really finished one piece at one place. So that's why you see on
Uh-huh.
that card I said this card has been to Canada or France.
Right, right, right.
So right before the gentleman get off the train, I just thought I would give him a little gift as return.
Oh, aren't you sweet?
Yes, and wrote down my email in case, maybe one day he want to reach out or send me back something fun from his hometown. Um,
That's kind of creepy.
hey, no, I just
No, no, in a nice way. It's creepy in a nice way. Just listen. It's fine. It's
yeah.
cool. I got it. Got it.
Well, I just thought it was such a cute thing that he wanted to share lunch with us.
You made his day for sure. For sure.
I probably did, but at the
Yep.
same
Yep.
time, he made our day as well. So, okay, so after I gave this card to him, he didn't know any English, obviously, but I peeked over. He like grabbed my hand and he kissed my hand, and he has like,
Uh-huh.
he got a little teary eye. And,
Oh.
and so I was like, oh, oh, I
Uh-huh.
feel I feel like, oh, this old man is by himself on the train.
Yeah.
And then he started pulling out these two pictures, and he pointed at
Uh-huh.
the pictures and pointed at himself. So
Okay.
so then we know, oh, he's trying to show us a picture of him when he's younger.
Sure,
And so I
sure.
just took this picture and I want to remember that moment. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and later on, I received an email, probably a month
Okay.
later. I totally forgot about
Okay.
this. A month later, I received an email, and then a lady, she sent me an email saying, "Dear Chloe, this is." sorry, forgot her name, but let's say her name is Lorena.
It's yeah, it's fine.
She said, "Oh, dear
She's
Chloe."
gonna hear this podcast and she's gonna be
I
Chloe.
actually added her on Facebook. I'll send it to her later.
Okay, okay, that's awesome.
So she sent me an email and she said, "Hey, dear Chloe, this is Lorena. I am Mr." I even forgot his name.
That's fine. Yeah, it's
I'm
great.
Roberto, I believe. He
Okay.
said, "I'm Mr. Roberto's lawyer. He lived by himself. He's 89-year-old, so he doesn't
Oh
really
wow.
know email or nothing, but he wants me to write you an email to tell you how much he
Aw.
appreciated the little card, and he'll remember you forever."
Aw.
Yeah, so I just felt so warm and cozy. So I got in
Mm-hmm.
touch with
Mm-hmm.
her, and later on, she told me apparently that train ride that he took was to send his sister away. So his sister passed away during that
Oh.
time, and obviously at the time I didn't know, right? So
Yeah.
that card, I am guessing, probably at that moment why he had teary eye was because he just felt someone care, or he felt,
Uplifted.
yeah, uplifted at that moment. So that's why after receiving that email, it's also something that touched my heart very deeply, and I still get in
You're
touch
amazing. Yeah.
with him. Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. No, it's great. So one of the things that I do in my training, so my client, when he was building up DHL, he was one of the co-founders of DHL. He said that an important part of the company of sort of having people feel good about work was this idea of psychic income, right? So is that you pay people this idea of like psychic benefit or kindness or whatever, and it just uplifts them, and it's like you give people checks of goodness, and there's something so sweet about and I've when you travel and you're meeting strangers, because in a way you're kind of hungry for contact, so it's just like, oh, so you meet somebody, and every once in a while the chemistry is just right where people give each other the most amazing kindness, and so I could totally imagine how this little interaction would totally uplift them.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I also believe, well, to me, for the time being, I didn't think it was an act of kindness. I just
Mm.
simply, feel so touched and warm of his little
Yeah.
gesture. To me, it's just we repaying his kind gesture, which makes me feels good.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I didn't think, oh, I'm doing his a favor or anything. Nothing like that. It's just pure
Yeah.
interactions where it touched me. And that was one of the
Uh-huh.
moments that really, gave me that little butterfly feelings, but not,
Mm.
not loving of the butterfly feelings
It
that
just
people
care.
hmm
Yeah, listen, I understand you were trying to pick up an 89-year-old guy. I get it. I got
Well, he's
it.
90-year-old now, so.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I understand that for sure. So let's tie it back to let's tie it back to LumiVoce, which is that's really kind of how you're manifesting your professional energy to reach and inspire others. So why don't you take it from there and say, well, like, do you feel that part of your character is something that Ying Ying really picked up on and thought, okay, I want this person in my group or in my team because you're obviously you get it.
Well, I do believe, well, first encounter, you can only know a person so much, right? But I do believe our first interactions or call gave her the sense that I am also a caring person. But later
Mm.
on, when we actually started together on programs for LumiVoce, it's a little silly, but I have to tell you, a lot of times when we do our calls, like both of us would just, kind of have we shared a tear or something when we talk about
Yeah, no,
topics that really moved us, or
sure.
yeah, there's just so many so many silly moments where we both would just get so touched or moved from, and we just have to tell each other stop, otherwise we're going to be for so long.
Well, okay. Look, I mean, okay. So in the podcast I just had last week or whatever it is, so she's like, look, when I was growing up as a kid, I was a total nerd. I loved Star Wars but I didn't feel like I could really express my nerdiness. But now that she's older, she's like, I embrace it. I embrace it. I like fantasy. I like sci-fi, and so she embraced the nerdiness, right? So in the
Mhm,
same way, we live in a world that is maybe a little bit judgmental about connecting with each other and really LumiVoce is about inspiring people to to create goodness, right?
mhm.
So own it, own the fact that, yeah, you guys, part of the mission or part of your work is to really connect, and that's actually very artistic, unashamed, not self-conscious, to just connect with another human being. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And those are, I think, to me, some of the most treasurable moments are always, I don't remember like the bag I saw in the mall. I never remember, the piece of
Mm,
clothing that I saw and can't, forget about it. Never. To me, it's
mm,
always like, touching moments or that little cards or that email I received from the gentleman or from his lawyer.
yeah.
So like it's all
In my mind, there's a little bit that really touching card I received from his lawyer. It's just like, it's not a sentence I would have expected to hear. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, well, he lives in a very small town in Porto. So, like, his lawyer
That's great.
lives next door to him. So that's why.
Sure. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, that's the person who could write. Well, it's either his lawyer or doctor, like his urologist, wrote you a touching letter.
Yes. Um, but I really do think that's also why Ying and I got along so well, and with the program
Yeah.
she created, and I'm helping that we all find such a connected mind, I guess, through our
Yep.
programs. And funny you
Yep.
said she confessed that she's a nerd. I guess in some sense that I'm also a nerd. um,
Uh,
I'm not sure.
your words, not mine.
Hey, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Dream of the Red Chamber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's one of the classics that you have to read, in classical Chinese. I don't think many of my friends even read that before, but
Mm-hmm.
I was fed with these kind of books since I was little by my mom. And so, if you read The Dream of the Red Chamber, like a lot of the content, how they beautifully write about, the environment, the jewels, or some scene where one particular scene in my head, the main character Dai Yu, she has a funeral for flowers because she feels for them and the sentimental. She's a very, I guess she has a personality that's very pessimistic, and she sees the flowers and reminds herself of her own unfortunate events. And throughout the
Mm-hmm.
book, your imagination just go in different paces because they describe the garden with like such beautiful pink color, and the wording is just so beautiful. So naturally,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I grew up in this environment, and for my imagination, when people tell me about garden, I unconsciously will link to things that I read
Mm-hmm.
before. And so I guess in that sense, that's why we really do believe like when we read or when we create art, like these kind of things really have an impact on us, even when I grew up, that I didn't know so
Mm-hmm.
much that I referenced back to the things that I read or I
Mm-hmm.
listened to when I was young. And yeah, I guess in that sense, I are kind of similar.
Oh, for sure. Listen, I'm all about encouraging this. This is full throttle. This is great. Want to move on to the next photo?
Sure.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count?
That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.